Hello there, my name is Ben, and I was asked recently if I wouldn't mind breaking down some of the mixes I've done for some of my projects. And I don't know if I'm a good mixing engineer, so I don't think that this is the way to do it. Unfortunately, the project I'm showing you today is mixed in the box, whereas since then I've been mixing out of the box, which means I'm utilizing a lot of the hardware in the room, like the physical lovely knobs I get to touch lovely knobs. But yeah, I get to do that, and I'm really enjoying that. That's kind of what I think of as mix engineering, but I guess that isn't quite what it is nowadays. So I use Pro Tools HDX. In fact, let's just get something up. The first thing that I was asked to show you was Eyes on the King. There's some Quiet One things that I've been asked to show as well, but the first one that was asked of me was Eyes on the King, which is I do some music for video games. I used to anyway. This is quite old now. And I haven't really worked on these for, I think this was mixed about this time last year, I think October time last year. So it's been a while since that's obviously happened, so I have to get used to the mix again, but there's been one since I'm very happy to show you as well, and hopefully we can make that happen. So let's open up Eyes on the King, which is in so it's 4 E. Okay, so that's it. I use Pro Tools 12 because I like it. I used to use Logic. I kind of came up with Logic, and I did like the Apple trainer courses, which is the courses you do so you can teach people how to use Logic. I did all 3 levels of certification back when there were 3 levels. Logic Pro certification in London, and then kind of realized its flaws and limitations. So it didn't take me long to really sink my teeth into Pro Tools. It took me a long time to afford Pro Tools, like the proper Pro Tools, like this one. This is an HDX. Well, it's actually an HDX 3 system. However, my Mac Pro will only take 1 card at the moment. When we moved to the new studio, I've already ordered a new Mac Pro, and I can have an external chassis that will take all 3 HDX cards. So it will be a full HDX DSP system, which will be amazing. But for now, we're working with 1 card, which is still plenty to handle any session I've ever done, actually. But I like Pro Tools. It's makes sense to me, and I don't know. It's just it's nice that I'm able to send projects to other people, and they're immediately able to open them and add things, subtract things sometimes, and it just makes sense. So as I said, this was mixed a long time ago, and I can't remember the sessions for shit. But I do remember that all of the drums on this record were done by John Williams, who's in Portraits. So drums were tracked in Denver, London strings, London a bit of vocals actually, not on this song but on a few of the songs, and then most of the rest of it was done in the old room actually. So the old room that used to have a huge window over here. I don't know if you remember the vlogs of that big window. That room. So that was recorded there. So I think this might be I know I opened this earlier today to make sure it played, but this might be the first time it's been opened in this studio. So we will see. So this is what this is not what my projects normally look like. This is filthy and dirty. But normally these colours here, in fact, can we do something about that quickly? Yes, we can. Is that going to do anything? Yes, it is. Lovely. Okay, so I colour code all of my things because I'm really anal, and I don't know why that didn't come across. But my projects, I like to have them completely mapped out. When I write a song, I pre-plan it on paper, and then the first thing I'll do is I'll come in and actually work out the bars and beats for everything, all of the different tempo and time changes. Has quite a few little odds and sods. And the kind of general build of the song will be up here before I've even started recording. I like to have it perfected up there. I'll even work out exactly what tempos I want before I start recording, because what's the point in changing it afterwards? I don't really see the point in that. But so these are the drums sent to me by the lovely John Williams, the other John Williams, and they're all in yellow here. They have some bass here, which is in blue. There's real bass here. If I make these a slightly lighter blue, which they should be, my assistant, and I've just made everything fucking blue. there we are. So the lighter blue is real bass, the darker blue is like a sub bass. You can hear it in a minute. Down here we have heavy guitars. I can spell, I don't know why it's come up like that. In here it says heavy, but in there it says, it's because it's synced to this desk and it makes all the names really small. Heavy guitar. And then I like to color code guitars. The heavier, the darker the green, and then the lighter the green. So heavier guitars up here, lighter guitars down here. Quite a light guitar there, Jesus. The solo guitars there, they must be distorted because they're slightly darker. I can't remember the solo in this song. There's also a synth that underlies that solo, apparently. Don't remember that. I'll talk to you about these little green things here in a minute. Clean guitars under that, stilling guitars. Don't know what that is. What does that say? Heavy, clean parts. Heavy, clean. This is a year ago. I apologize. Harmonics here. We have some strings. Japanese kyoto there. Drones. Cello. Bells. I think a cello I did. Bells. Reverse pad. That reverse pad's actually just my vocals that have been reversed. The Japanese kyoto is actually my dulcimer hit with, like laying my hand on the strings and hit it with a metal hammer rather than the soft padded hammer. It gives you a kyoto sound. It's not actually a kyoto. It's a dulcimer pretending to be a Japanese kyoto. That's my main vocal there. And you'll see in a minute I'll go in and you can see I chop down the breaths. Just because I do. Again, I can't really remember this, so we're going to have to go through this in a minute. Reversed vocal there again. Backing vocals there. I really didn't do many. It's only since Portraits I've had like 30 backing vocals. Like I've really experimented with harmony. Before that, I was doing quite, not simplistic, but more controlled amounts of vocals. It's a Portrait song which has over 1,000 vocals at one point in one song. All 1,000 vocals triggering at once. I said to John, do you think we're ever going to be able to do this live? His answer began with an N and ended with an O. Versed vocals here. Verse double, so that's a pre-chorus. I doubled it in the pre-chorus. Main chorus vocal, doubled chorus vocal. I double most of the chorus. It just gives it more oomph. In each of the choruses, it has a little distorted vocal here. Then there's a chorus harmony at the end somewhere. Don't know what that is. A reverse pad at the end. Then this is a print track. It's got nothing on it actually. There's nothing there at the moment. We don't need that. But we'll arm it, and you'll see why in a minute. So a little bit about the mindset here. What I like to do when I'm recording an album is I like to pick a desk. So there are loads of really amazing desks from a myriad of studios all over the world, and I have the emulations of those. I have one of them here, but I have the emulations of many. So if we go through some of the ones I have just very quickly, we have got the SSL. I think this is the E. Yeah, this is the E channel. This is what I used. I think this album was all done with the E channel, but I also have the SSL G channel, which is a slightly different sounding desk here. I have the it's one I was using for quite a while. I used the actual module though. It wasn't a plugin. The red desk, which is the Abbey Road desk, which is amazing, but we actually went and ran a load of shit through the original desk, which was amazing. Something I'll never ever get to do again because it's being sold at the moment for $3 million. Lenny Kravitz now owns it and is selling it. But that's an emulation of that desk. So to give you an example, you can basically make your mix sound like it's run through any of those desks, which is an amazing thing to do. And a load of these are new. Some of these are even new since this project was made. But I think for this, I was opting for the E channel because I just knew it. It was just something that made sense to me. I was brought up in studios that had that, Rack, and then Panic Studios had that as well. That's where I spent most of my time when I was a kid, just Panic Studios twisting knobs, and it was a privately run studio, but it was amazing. And they had a huge E channel desk, and it had the G channel bus, which is down here. I use, okay, this is the wrong one actually. This is weird. Maybe I was using the wrong one for a reason. The SSL, the UAD SSL G channel, that's what it looks like. That's actually what it looks like in real life without the crappy graphics. But UAD make the better one. That Waves is another company who make one, but I think UAD make the better one. And I love that, but we're going to take that off for now. So I think, should I just play you some stuff? So the song sounds a little bit like this, sounds a lot like this. Let's get to the good bit. So that's the kind of dynamic of the song. Actually, it's quite dynamic. Yeah, within reason, I suppose. So these are the drums. I'll play you the drums on their own if you want to hear kind of what they sound like. Unfortunately, you're hearing this through this mic for the time being. If we do more of these, then I'll have a stereo set up so you can actually hear the direct outputs from the computer, but I hope for now that that's okay. So if we open up some of the effects on some of these channels, and again, I mean, there isn't really much in the way of effects because I like to track things well. So when I'm tracking guitar, obviously I'm running straight into the guitar or through pedals to the guitar amp. That guitar amp's coming in mics to a preamp, and then I'll directly affect that preamp with an EQ here. I've got a JDK Pultec EQ, which I love. It's really nice sounding, quite a musical, I think, EQ, and affecting the direct, well, inserting it into the preamps and then printing that to Pro Tools. So by the time it's coming into Pro Tools, it's already sounding pretty good, you know, I mean, pretty polished. So the drums I didn't record, so these were recorded in the States. So there are a few plugins on the drums. Again, I opted, you'll see them here. There's just the E channel everywhere, because the one thing I was going to say is that when especially back then, when I was going for album mixes, I wanted all the songs to sound like they kind of came from the same studio because they did. So I opted for the E channel because I knew its curves and I knew how it worked. More so than any other of the plugins at that time anyway. I then opted for the API for an album called Zombies 2 and for Fallout 1. That was all done on API. Are those albums out now? They'll be out soon if they're not already out by the time you see this. But yeah, it was just something I opted for and I really liked it. And it's got, especially the E channel, I really like because this 8K it has, and it's got this little bell switch here. This 8K is fucking amazing. Like on anything, if you just, I just open this up, it's already set on 8K. Just turn this up a little bit, and it's there. Like it's just sounds, I think it sounds brilliant. And it's got its own internal gate. I never ever use the gates in any plugins. I always do manual. I mean, I try not to, unless we've recorded something live, like with a band in a room, which has happened with the unplug. I've done some unplugged things recently, and that's, we've had to use the gate to get rid of some other things. But I'd rather go through a project like this and say, for instance, this sub bass, I would just literally select this, delete it, and then stitch these back together so that there's no audio in the middle. It was completely, so that I know that there's no rogue bits of random audio. That's why I don't really need the gate for that reason. Here the compressor is doing pretty much fuck all, because I think John sent some of these pre-compressed, little bit pre-compressed, a little bit pre-EQ'd, which is very nice of him. So this is a cool little trick. This is lo-fi. This is like a plugin that comes stock with Pro Tools, and I found over the years that it's got this kind of huge capability with just this one little knob. If I play this to you without it on, you can hear just the snare drum here. If I can grab all of these and just unsolo them, you can hear just the snare drum. If I go to a chorus, it might be more. Now if I turn this plugin on, okay, there's a volume difference there, but actually it sounds really full. It sounds like it's doing like a shitload of saturation, all sorts of stuff, just with this one knob. Nothing else on this is turned on. I know you don't know this, but nothing is turned on. All of this is up 0.6. But you can turn it up and it sounds ridiculous, but we don't need that kind of snare drum because we're not Peter fucking Gabriel. So that's really cool. You'll notice on here, as I was talking about with gating, if I zoom in a little bit, so unsolo that, if I come in on this track a little bit more, you can see the toms. I individually cut out all the toms, so I never replace tom, especially with John. He's an amazing drummer. He has an amazing sounding kit, but I will go through and I'll individually cut out each tom, which takes a while, but at the end of the day, you get a really amazing drum sound, because the problem with toms is that every time a tom fires, it sounds great, and then what you're left with afterwards is this wishy-washy cymbal shit, where you could get rid of it, a lot of it, with a gate, but it's kind of lazy way of doing it with the gate. I prefer to go through and it's not even surgical, it's just going through and just spending a little bit of time getting those sounding right.